Zombies are there. That's important stuff.
Yep. Good evening. I want to call this meeting to order. This is the second of two public hearings to finalize and approve our budget for fiscal year 2011, 2012, and set the millage rate for our city and the Downtown Development Board. We hold these hearings to ensure that our residents have an ample opportunity to be part of the process, and they are also required by state statute. It's important to have an open and transparent process as we allocate taxpayer dollars. And commissioners, we've said for several months now that Orlando is in the best financial shape of any major city in Florida. And in terms of the budget, that means no tax increases and no cuts in services that they depend on. But the fiscal health is also an important asset to our business community and our local economy. Now, I just want to read a little bit of an article that appeared in the OBJ last week. When Zeem, quote, when Zeem Imaging, Inc. moved its headquarters from Riverside, California to Orlando in the first quarter of 2009, company officials paid attention to the city of Orlando's budget. Sure, the big factors like the 9-hour time difference between California and Germany and the city's incentive packages were key reasons for the move, but if Orlando city government hadn't been fiscally healthy, the company would have passed on relocating here. Quote, it didn't make the decision for Orlando, but the other way would have made the decision against Orlando, said Nelson Mendez, president and CEO of Zeem, which makes X-ray based imaging devices. The article goes on to say the fiscal health of a local government can be one of the key determinants for a business looking to relocate, said Mark Vittner, a senior economist with Wells Fargo. It can be an even bigger incentive than tax abatement packages, which have a one-time benefit, while a spike in property taxes has a long-term impact on businesses. So we talk about providing our services for citizens, but it also, this illustrates the important link between well-run, fiscally responsible government and the private sector's ability to create jobs. So I want to thank each of you commissioners for your hard work in crafting this budget, and Rebecca and her entire team for doing so. And I know, Rebecca, why don't we get through this and then we can have some accolades for everybody that's worked so hard on this. This is the second of two public hearings for the adoption of the millage rate and budget for the city of Orlando for fiscal year 2011-12. At the first hearing held on September 12th, Council adopted the proposed millage rate and tentative budget. At this second hearing, City Council will consider for adoption the final millage rate and budget. Madam Clerk, would you read the title of the millage resolution for the City of Orlando budget?
Resolution of the City of Orlando, Florida, establishing the ad valorem tax levy millage rate upon the assessed real property and business personal property tax rolls of the year 2011.
The proposed millage rate for the city for fiscal year 2011-12 is 5.6500 mils, which is 5.02% lower than the rolled back rate of 5.9488. For those in the audience, the rolled back rate is the rate at which we would need to set our millage in order to collect the same amount of tax revenue that we did the year before. Is there a motion to adopt the millage rate?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lineham, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Rebecca?
On July 25th of this year, the City Council approved a millage rate of $5.65 so that the appropriate filing could be made with the property appraiser by the August 4th deadline set for the trim notification process. This millage rate is within the parameters outlined by the state formula and has not been changed from the prior year.
Public comment? Anyone wish to testify on millage rate? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? And so our millage rate is set. Madam Clerk, would you read the title of the budget resolution?
A resolution of the City of Orlando, Florida, adopting the annual budget of the City of Orlando, Florida for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2011 and ending September 30th, 2012.
Is there a motion to adopt the budget?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Taking that as a second.
Fine.
Let's see. Let me call on Rebecca, then I'll get to you, Commissioner. Rebecca?
The total proposed budget is $923,291,847. including a general fund budget of $347,241,867. Those amounts agree with the totals presented at the September 12th budget hearing. There have been made no changes to those numbers since that date.
Public comment, anybody wish to testify? Commissioner Stewart?
Thank you, Mayor. I know this gets monotonous, but I would allow a little bit of indulgence. As you know, I have served for many years as the Executive Director of the Christian Service Center for Central Florida. The budget this year and for many years prior to my service on the City Council included funds that provided a modest grant to the center. The amount of that proposed funding for this year is $22,240. None of that money goes towards the actual operation of the center. I don't mean the general operation of the center. It goes towards the program funding. These funds, however, will not be granted to the Christian Service Center unless and until the Christian Service Center and the city enter into a separate agreement. Such agreement will come before City Council for individual approval at some point in the future. I want to make it clear that when this specific item comes before the council, I'll abstain from voting on the funding agreement between the city and the Christian Service Center, and we'll fill out the necessary paperwork to accomplish that task. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
6-1, Commissioner Diamond voting no. All right, let's move on to the DDB. This is the second of two public hearings for the adoption of the millage rate and budget for the Downtown Development Board for fiscal year 2011-12. At the first hearing held on September the 12th, Council adopted the proposed millage rate and tentative budget. At this second hearing, City Council will consider for adoption the final millage rate and budget. Madam Clerk, would you read the title of the millage rate for the Downtown Development Board, please?
A resolution of the City of Orlando, Florida, establishing for the Downtown Development Board the ad valorem tax levy millage rate upon the assessed real property within the Downtown Development District for the year 2011.
The proposed millage rate for the DDB for fiscal year 2011-12 is 1 mil, which is 20.22% lower than the rollback rate of 1.2534. Is there a motion to adopt the millage rate?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Ings. Rebecca?
The City Council, on behalf of the Downtown Development Board, has set a millage rate of $1 per $1,000 valuation, similar to the city's millage rate. That rate was approved by City Council on July the 25th and submitted to the property appraiser by the August 4th deadline for the trim notification process.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment or testify? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Madam Clerk, the title of the budget resolution, please.
A resolution of the City of Orlando, Florida, adopting the annual budget of the Downtown Development Board for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2011 and ending September 30th, 2012.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Lineham. Rebecca?
The total budget for the Downtown Development Board is $2.9 million, or $2,920,507. This amount agrees with the total presented at the September 12th budget hearing. There have been no changes made to this number since that date.
Public comment? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Rebecca?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. I wanted to take this opportunity to recognize the budget team from my office who has worked so hard this year on putting this budget together. So if all of those from the budget division stand in the audience, please. Like to give them a hand. And then I have one very special recognition. Now, Mike has told us, Mike Stieber, who, by the way, my nickname for Mike is the Oracle. If you want to know anything about the city, you go to Mike Stieber, he can tell you. So he is a very, very revered source of information, and we have come to a difficult crossroads here. Mike is telling us that he's going to retire and go have some fun about 9 months from now, which means this is his last budget hearing. But we're really going over the next 9 months to try to talk him out of that. So whether we'll be successful in doing that, I don't know, but I did want to have a special recognition for Mike. How many years have you been here? 27? 20?
24, it'll be 25 next.
25 next year. And I can tell you that from a finance perspective, this man has a, what do they call it? The lead pipe deadlock or whatever, I don't know. But he has a complete lock on all things financial in the city and can find you information on anything that we keep information on. So I just wanted to, to recognize this as his last budget hearing, unless we can talk him out of leaving us.
Mike, thank you for your service, and you're supposed to have somebody trained up that can take over exactly what your job is.
This would be Brian
Yeah.
here.
You need to impart all of that knowledge and information to Brian.
Thank you
Okay.
very much,
And thank you to the entire budget team. This was a much easier process this year than last year and the year before that. And Rebecca, actually share the same comment that you did with the directors at our lunch today.
Yes, and I think it goes for the commissioners as well. It's difficult to get through these difficult financial times. We do the best that we can. We want to do as much as we possibly can for our citizens, but these are difficult times, and it is so wonderful as a financial professional to be working in an organization where everyone has the value, to spend our money wisely, to spend it on the things that are important, to select the things that are important, and not to spend every single dime we have. To end the year with money left over so that we can make our way easier the next year that we have to try to get through. And I just want to say thank you to you, because I think you guys understand what we're doing, what we're trying to do here, and have been such great leaders for this organization in making the hard decisions that you've had to make over the last few years, because it's that put us here today. It's that put us in this position when all of our sister cities out there are either raising tax rates to the detriment of the public, or they're cutting public services, they're laying people off. So many bad stories out there about other cities in Florida. I feel extraordinarily fortunate to be working for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca, and with that, we're adjourned.